Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're unraveling a really complex, fascinating web of myths surrounding the origins of a group called the Waldensians. We're going to dive into their history to uncover the absolutely heartbreaking reason why their historical fabrications weren't just, tall tales. They were literally a desperate requirement for a persecuted people's survival. Okay, to really get the irony here, we have to look at a very specific warning from the Apostle Paul to his protege, Timothy, about the spiritual dangers of obsessing over myths. In the biblical book of 1 Timothy, Paul actually urges new converts to focus on sincere faith and love rather than trying to build up their credibility based on endless genealogies or mythic origin stories. Now, for a devout movement grounded deeply in Scripture like the Waldensians, this was a known fundamental instruction. They knew this. So this brings us to a huge, fascinating paradox. If their own scriptures explicitly warned them against myths, why in the world did the fiercely devout Waldensian movement create such elaborate fictional origin stories for themselves? I mean, these were people who championed the biblical accuracy, yet over centuries, they literally rewrote their own beginnings. To understand why, we've got to look at the actual stories they were telling. They built their foundational myth on this ancient narrative known as the donation of Constantine. The story went that way back in the year 325 AD, Emperor Constantine basically willed half of the entire Roman Empire to Pope Sylvester. And according to the Waldensians, a massive ideological split happened right at that exact moment. On one side, you had Sylvester, who gladly accepted all this immense wealth and property, but on the other side was a much smaller companion group, who they claimed were the ancestors of the Waldensians. And this group completely refused the wealth, took a vow of strict poverty, and essentially became the true, faithful remnant of the early church. But here is the really wild part. The Catholic Church originally fabricated this exact story of the donation way back in the 8th century, just to justify its own massive wealth to its critics. But the Waldensians? They brilliantly repurposed it. Starting in the late 13th century, they took the Catholic Church's very own myth and flipped it upside down. They used it to claim, hey, we are actually the original, uncorrupted, faithful remnant who walked away from that very wealth. Talk about a plot twist, right? Let's untangle this timeline for a second to map out the vast historical gap between their ancient myth and the actual documented reality. So they anchored their identity way back in 325 AD. But historians know perfectly well that the actual founder of their movement doesn't even appear on the historical timeline until more than 8 whole centuries later in 1172. That is a massive gap. Turns out the true historical originator of the movement was actually a guy named Waldo of Lyon, often called Valdez. Following a totally devastating regional famine around Lyon, Waldo started a ministry that was entirely focused on itinerant preaching and voluntary poverty. His emergence was completely 100% disconnected from the era of Constantine, and yet his followers would later feel this overwhelming need to bridge that giant historical gap. And they didn't stop there. They didn't just claim ancient origins. They also linked themselves to Bishop Claude of Turin from the 9th century. Now, Claude was a Roman Catholic leader who actually went in and removed holy images from his churches and preached justification by faith. This was highly unorthodox stuff for his time. His parallel teachings deeply, deeply inspired later Waldensian thought. But again, as much as the Waldensians proudly claimed him as part of their unbroken lineage, historians know for a fact that no direct, organized historical bridge actually existed between Claude's followers and Waldo's. Fast forward to the 14th century, and this whole myth-making process becomes a literal survival tool. There's this fascinating text called the Book of the Elect, written right around 1367. Because Catholic inquisitors were constantly, and I mean constantly, burning Waldensian written records and history books, this text was deliberately designed for endurance. It used these short, poetic, staccato rhythmic phrases that were specifically engineered for oral memorization. It was basically a way to let scattered believers all across Western Europe carry their entire history safely inside their own minds. It is honestly wild to see how, through different editions of this book, subsequent generations literally rewrote their own history backward, step by step. Okay, so in 1367, their 12th century founder, Valdez, is suddenly given the apostolic name Peter. Then, by 1420, he is completely reframed. He's no longer the founder. Nope, now he's a contemporary companion of the 4th century Pope Sylvester. And by the early 15th century, he's somehow attributed as a Roman Catholic cardinal. They systematically pushed him deeper and deeper into the ancient past, just to connect him directly to the Acts of the Apostles. Now, you might be wondering why go through all this trouble. It's incredibly easy for us to sit back today from the comfort of our modern world and look at this revisionist history as just simple dishonesty or making things up. But before we rush to judge, we really have to ask ourselves, why did these fiercely devout followers, people who literally staked their lives on biblical truth, feel so desperately compelled to constantly alter their own historical narrative? What kind of unimaginable pressure were they actually under? Well, the answer lies in the terrifying, visceral reality of the Inquisition. The Waldensians were officially branded as heretics by the Catholic Church in 1215, and shortly after that, they found themselves facing an extremely well-organized prosecutorial court system. You see, the Inquisition was initially built to destroy a different movement called the Cathar heresy, but it quickly pivoted, and when it did, it directed its full, standardized, and highly organized fury right at the followers of Waldo. Let's just drop the academic timelines for a second and think about the sheer human cost here. This was a sustained era of absolute terror. Families were literally torn apart. Waldensian children were often stolen by priests to be raised in Catholic doctrine. Families' properties were confiscated and sold off. And those believers who courageously refused to recant, they were ruthlessly tortured and executed, most frequently by being burned at the stake. It gets even darker. The Catholic Order of St. Dominic was specifically assigned to systematically hunt them down, coordinating directly with civil magistrates, and their methods were just chilling. In the early days, they went as far as exhuming and burning the corpses of identified Waldensians. Why? Just to ensure they had no physical body left to resurrect at the Second Coming. And by the 1480s, Pope Innocent VIII called for a literal holy crusade, aiming for the absolute total eradication of every single Waldensian believer hiding in the Cottian Alps. But here is the absolute miracle in all of this. Against the crushing weight of entire empires, their endurance was simply staggering. Guided by their incredibly faithful traveling preachers, who they called the Barba, the Waldensians somehow survived 33 organized military persecutions over 500 years. Let that sink in. 33. And we aren't talking about tiny small-town skirmishes. These were massive, coordinated assaults orchestrated by massive forces like the King of Savoy and the nation of France. So bringing it all back to the heart of our paradox, these ancient myths and rewritten genealogies, they were never malicious lies. They weren't vanity projects. They were a vital, necessary psychological survival mechanism. When you are facing total hopelessness, immense suffering, and the very real threat of complete eradication, these myths were exactly what consoled and unified the believers. It gave them this sacred, unbroken connection to Christ's original disciples. It was a tangible, historical faith they could cling to, even as the literal flames rose around them. Looking at it today, history serves as a truly credible witness to their unparalleled endurance. Because of that powerful, unifying narrative, they became literally the only Christian movement deemed heretical by the medieval Catholic Church to actually survive into modern times. In fact, during the Protestant Reformation, scholars looked back at the Waldensians, picked up on these very survival myths, and proudly recognized them as early pioneers of the faith who preserved the true church. There is a really beautiful thought by historian Peter Biller, who notes that human memory is incredibly complex. For the Waldensians, their memory of the past was colored and angled, completely distorted through the prism of their deep generational trauma. Through the long passage of time, they transformed a historical myth into the exact psychological armor they needed to endure centuries of unimaginable suffering. Looking back at the Waldensians and their desperate need for this unbroken lineage, it really makes us have to ask about our own present world. How do modern movements, those currently facing marginalization or the very real threat of erasure today, reshape their own historical narratives just to survive and unify their people? It is a profound, lingering reminder of the absolute power of the stories we tell ourselves.